Soulful Journeys, Love's Second Bloom, a metaphysical love story by Dana M. Brown. Episode 3, The Garden's Whisper. As the early morning light filtered through the windows of Nia's home, she sat quietly, reflecting on the experiences that had unfolded in the previous episode. The profound visualization she had encountered had left an indelible mark on her spirit. In that sacred space of her mind's eye, she had been bathed in healing light, a light that seemed to dissolve the layers of hurt and doubt she had carried for so long. She could still feel its warmth within her, a radiant energy that seemed to pulse gently in her chest, reminding her that healing was not just possible, but already in progress. Nia recalled the embrace of that light, how it had wrapped around her like a protective shield, whispering to her that it was safe to love again, to open her heart to the possibilities that awaited her. The essence of love had been so palpable, so real, that it brought tears to her eyes, even now as she reflected on it. There had been a man in that vision too, a figure who emerged from the light with a presence that both soothed and invigorated her. Though she couldn't see his face clearly, she felt an inexplicable connection to him, as if he was a part of her soul's journey, a guide, or perhaps even a future companion. The essence of that man lingered in her thoughts like a sweet perfume, subtle yet persistent. His presence was not just comforting, it was reassuring, like the steady hand of a guide leading her through uncertain terrain. He was someone she felt she could trust implicitly, not just with her heart, but with her soul. Nia sensed that he would walk with her, not ahead or behind, but beside her, a partner in the truest sense. His essence exuded a sense of protection, a quiet strength that assured her she was safe in his presence. It was a feeling she hadn't known in a long time, the deep, instinctual knowing that she could not only trust him, but also rely on his leadership. In that moment, Nia had allowed herself to believe in the possibility of love, not just romantic love, but a deeper, more spiritual connection that transcended the physical world. This was a love that was more about the alignment of souls, a bond that went beyond the ordinary to touch the very core of her being. She felt as though this man's essence was intricately woven into her own, not as two parts of a whole, but as two whole souls destined to journey together in the vast tapestry of life. With these thoughts swirling in her mind, Nia felt an urge to be outside, to reconnect with nature, where she had always found solace. She stood up from her seat and made her way to the sliding glass door that led to her garden. As she opened the door, a gentle breeze greeted her, carrying with it the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. Stepping outside, she noticed how the colors of her garden seemed more vivid than before, as if the very essence of life had been magnified. The garden had always been her sanctuary, but today, something about it felt different, more alive, more present. Nia felt a pull, an invitation to explore, to discover what the garden had to reveal to her today. She took a deep breath, inhaling the rich floral scent that filled the air, and began to walk along the familiar stone path that led to the garden. As she walked, her senses seemed heightened, attuned to the subtle energies around her. The leaves on the trees rustled softly, as if whispering secrets meant only for her ears. The flowers seemed to turn towards her as she passed, their petals opening wider as if to welcome her. Nia's heart swelled with a sense of belonging, a deep connection to this place that had always been a part of her life, but now felt like a living, breathing entity that was aware of her presence. The path led her to a small alcove she had never truly noticed before. Here, the trees formed a natural canopy overhead, their branches intertwined like loving arms offering protection. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled patterns on the ground that danced with the breeze. Nia felt the energy of the place shift, growing stronger, more focused, as if she had stepped into a sacred space within the garden. In the center of the alcove, nestled within a soft bed of green moss, was a shimmering cluster of green aventurine crystals. Nia recalled these stones from her visit to Soulful Connections, where Nefertiti had explained their powerful properties. Known as the Stone of Prosperity, Green Aventurine is celebrated not only for its ability to declutter the energy field, particularly around the heart chakra, but also for its powerful attraction of abundance and opportunity. It aids in healing old emotional wounds, inviting romance and personal growth, while opening the heart to receive love in all its forms. Nefertiti had shared that Green Aventurine also brings good luck and a renewed sense of optimism, helping those who carry it embrace their path with a heart open to abundance and a spirit ready to thrive. Nia knelt down, her fingers brushing over the cool, smooth surfaces of the stones. As she did, a wave of calm washed over her, accompanied by a gentle voice that seemed to emanate from the crystals themselves. "Welcome, Nia," the voice murmured, tender and warm. "You've always been a part of this garden, just as it has always been a part of you. We are connected, intertwined in ways you are only beginning to understand." Nia closed her eyes, allowing the voice to envelop her like a soft blanket. She could feel the healing energy of the Green Aventurine flowing into her, soothing her soul, mending the invisible wounds left by years of struggle and self-doubt. The garden was speaking to her, guiding her, offering her the wisdom she needed to continue on her journey. As she stood, the voice of the garden seemed to blend with the sounds of nature around her. The rustling leaves, the chirping of birds, the gentle hum of life itself. Nia continued to walk, drawn further into the garden, feeling as though she was being led by an unseen hand. The path curved, and she found herself standing before a beautiful water fountain. She had never noticed the intricate patterns on it before. The fountain was crafted from smooth, polished stone, its surface adorned with intricate silver accents that caught the sunlight and reflected it in dazzling patterns. The water flowed continuously, cascading down in a soothing, melodic rhythm that seemed to harmonize with the beating of her heart. Nia stood transfixed, watching as the water sparkled and danced in the light, its movements mesmerizing and calming. She could feel the energy of the fountain reaching out to her, inviting her to come closer. As she stepped towards it, the garden's voice returned, now softer, almost a whisper. "This water," the voice said, "is the essence of life itself. It represents the flow of time, the cycles of renewal and purification that are part of every living being's journey. Just as the water cleanses the stones, it can cleanse your spirit, washing away the pain, the doubts, the fears that have burdened you. Let the water carry them away, leaving you refreshed and renewed." Nia reached out, dipping her fingers into the cool, crystal-clear water. As the water touched her skin, she felt a gentle surge of energy, a sensation that was both calming and invigorating. It was as if the water was imparting its wisdom to her, reminding her that life was always in motion, always flowing forward. The sound of the water filled her ears, a soothing melody that seemed to speak directly to her soul. She realized that this fountain was not just a feature of the garden, it was a symbol of the healing she sought. The water's constant flow reminded her that she did not need to hold on to the past, for the water would cleanse it, allowing her to embrace the present with an open heart. Trust in the flow, Nia. The garden's voice urged, let go of what no longer serves you. Allow the water to purify your spirit so you may step forward with clarity and purpose. Nia sat beside the fountain, her fingers still trailing in the water, listening to its gentle song. The garden seemed to come alive around her, the plants swaying in rhythm with the breeze, the flowers turning towards her as if in greeting. She felt a deep sense of peace settle over her, knowing that she was exactly where she needed to be. As she sat there, she realized that the garden was more than just a physical space. It was a reflection of her inner world, a place where she could find the answers she sought, where she could heal and grow. The garden was her guide, her teacher, and it would be with her every step of the way on this journey of self-discovery. As Nia stood in the alcove, surrounded by the soothing presence of the Green Aventurine crystals and fountain, she felt a sudden urge to express the emotions swirling within her. The garden seemed to be urging her to capture this moment, to solidify the connection she felt so deeply in her soul. She reached into the small bag she carried with her and pulled out the journal. Nia held the journal close to her heart for a moment, closing her eyes as she allowed herself to become fully present in the garden's energy. The journal felt warm in her hands, almost as if it had absorbed the life of the garden and was now a part of it. She could sense that this was no ordinary journal. It was a conduit, a tool for her to channel the wisdom and healing she had begun to uncover. Finding a comfortable spot beside the fountain, Nia sat down and opened the journal to the next blank page. The paper was smooth beneath her fingers, inviting her to write, to pour out the thoughts and feelings that had taken root in her heart. As she picked up her pen, the words began to flow effortlessly, as though the garden itself was guiding her hand. She described the sense of peace and belonging she felt in the garden, the whispers of the leaves, and the healing energy of the water. Each word she penned seemed to deepen her connection to the garden, weaving her experiences into the fabric of its existence. As she continued to write, Nia realized that this journal was not just a place to record her thoughts. It was a sacred space where she could explore the depths of her soul. The act of writing in the garden felt like a communion, a way to solidify the insights she was gaining and to carry them forward on her journey. When she finally paused, she looked down at the words on the page, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and clarity. The journal had captured the essence of the garden's whisper, preserving it in a way that she could return to whenever she needed guidance or reassurance. Nia knew that this journal would become an integral part of her journey, a companion that would help her navigate the path ahead. As she closed it and stood up, she felt a deep gratitude for the garden and the wisdom it had shared with her. With the journal tucked safely in her bag, she made her way back through the garden, the soft whispers of the leaves and the gentle flow of the water accompanying her as she returned and headed back inside. ready to embrace the next steps of her journey with an open heart. Finally, as the sun began to climb higher in the sky, Nia stood and took one last look at the garden and named it the Garden of Healing. She knew that this was just the beginning, that the garden held many more secrets, many more lessons for her to uncover. And as she stepped back inside, she carried the garden's presence with her, a comforting whisper in the back of her mind, reminding her that she was never truly alone. At this moment, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, a clarity that had been missing before. The garden had spoken to her, and in its whispers, she had found the strength to continue on her journey, knowing that healing, love, and growth were all within her reach. Episode 3: The Garden's Whisper. In the quiet breath of morning light, where dawn and dreams converge, Nia steps into the garden's heart, where whispered secrets surge. A path of stone beneath her feet winds through a world untold, where flowers turn to greet her steps and leaves their stories to hold. The air is thick with silent song, a melody of peace that wraps around her weary soul and bids her doubts release. Beneath the shade of ancient trees, a sacred space she finds, where green aventurine crystals lay and soothe her troubled mind. Welcome, Nia, the garden hums, its voice a tender breeze. You've walked this path for many lives, your soul knows these decrees. A stone of healing, love, and more, it mends the heart's old scars. Prosperity's light, it ushers in and guides with fortune's stars. The fountain's dance of silver light reflects her inner tide. Its waters cleanse her spirit clean and wash the past aside. Trust in the flow, the whisper says. Let go of fears and strife, for love awaits in every step through this garden of your life. She kneels to feel the earth's embrace, its warmth a guiding hand. And in her journal's sacred lines, she writes what her spirit planned. The garden's voice becomes her own as pen meets paper's grace. Each word a thread that weaves her soul into this hallowed space. With every stroke the garden speaks in verses pure and true, revealing paths of love and light in shades of green and blue. And as the sun climbs high above, she names this place her own. She calls it the Garden of Healing, her sacred place at home. With whispers soft and love so deep, the garden holds her near, a sanctuary within her soul, where all she seeks is clear. And in the stones of green she finds prosperity's embrace, a future of abundance, happiness and joy, passion, purpose, love, and grace.